Hi, everyone. This is Mario Erlach. I'm the CEO of RPM Logix, and thank you for joining us for our Healthy Habits webinar. RPM Logix is a partner with your physician, and we provide healthcare concierge services. Our mission is to educate, coach, and motivate you to help you live a healthier life. You're all members of our program, which gives you access to a lot of resources which you may not be familiar with. We have on our care team nurses, we have diabetes educators, and we have registered dietitians. So if you would like to explore some of these added services, please feel free to reach out to your care manager and let us know how we can help support you. We also recently launched 2 support groups that can provide you with a lot of enrichment. The first one is a healthy hour support group, which is focused on weight loss and healthy eating habits. We also have a support group now for diabetes called Sugar Busters. So again, if it's something you're interested in, please reach out. Now, this webinar is going to run approximately 30 to 40 minutes. I just want to assure everyone that your participation is private. If you do have some questions, all you have to do is move your mouse down to the bottom of your computer screen, and you'll see there'll be a little icon that says Q&A. You just click on that icon, type in your question, and then at the end of the presentation, we'll be spending some time to run through some of your questions. Our speaker today is Abigail Gonzalez. She's our manager of specialty education. Abigail's been with RPM Logix for over a year. She's been a registered dietitian for over 6 years. She resides in Houston, Texas. Abigail loves working with patients and collaborating with them to uncover the best version of themselves. She enjoys going on hikes and doing outdoor activities. She does paddleboarding, biking, swimming. She's also a runner and loves to cook. And what she really enjoys is creating healthier versions of her favorite recipes. And sometimes they come out great, she tells me, and she says sometimes they come out not so great, but I have a feeling they're all pretty good. And it's also something she could help you with if you get the opportunity to work with her. So let me turn this over to Abigail now.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here and to bring this webinar to you. Today, we are going to be talking about the heart and how to keep our hearts healthy. So to get started, just a little summary of what we're going to cover today. So today we will talk about different strategies for fostering a healthy and strong heart. We're also going to discuss different habits that are going to include nutrition and physical activity and are going to promote general health and including heart health. And then we're also going to do a small introduction to reading the food label to give you tools to allow you to compare different products and choose the best option to contribute to general health and heart health, of course. So again, so the heart is one of the most important organs in the body. It starts working even before we are born, and it works until the last day, right? So the heart is very important too because it is responsible for taking nutrients and oxygen throughout the body, and then it also cleans toxins and waste. So there are many different diseases that can be prevented with the different strategies that we're going to discuss today, and specifically things that are going to contribute to heart health and help you just live a healthier and happier life, because we're going to talk about managing the different conditions that can affect the heart. And just know that it's never late to start caring for your heart. If you start making changes now, it's going to have an impact on not only your quality of life, but also the longevity of your life. So the things that we're going to cover and focus on today and that can affect the heart, the different habits, that we're going to talk about, it's healthy eating, the importance of having a healthy and balanced diet, to contribute to heart health. Then also we're going to talk about the importance of staying physically active. Then also how blood pressure can, controlling the blood pressure, how it can contribute to heart health, as well as focusing on having healthy numbers of cholesterol in our bloods, how smoking can affect the heart and the importance of quitting for those who smoke. And then also the benefits of staying hydrated and drinking water, as well as the recommendations, and the importance of limiting or avoiding alcohol to also contribute to general health and as well as heart health. So let's start with the first point that I just, of the ones that I mentioned, which is healthy eating. So like Mario said, I am a registered dietitian, so this is my area of expertise. Some of you may know me because we may have been working together to help you reach your nutrition goals. The importance of a healthy diet when it comes to heart health, it's one of the things that can have the highest impact, because what we put in our bodies is going to affect the heart. So again, so if we focus on healthy foods, whole foods, then our body is going to get the nutrients, the energy, the vitamins, and the mineral that it needs to function properly. So foods that are going to contribute to heart health are going to be foods that are natural, that they are whole, and that they don't have anything added to them. So things like vegetables, legumes, whole grains, fruits, lean proteins, then also healthy fats. And when I said things added to them, I meant things like unhealthy fats and sugar. So that's one of the factors why it is important to limit processed foods, because processed foods have a lot of salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats added to them. And that's what makes them unhealthy, because they can saturate the heart and the body in general. And that's why we want to, there's no foods that are off limits, but of course, moderation, and then also focusing more on what we can include. And if you try to lead a healthy diet, then there's a little room for the processed foods. It's everything. It's about balance. And when we say like healthy eating, what does healthy eating mean? So healthy eating means to try to make the majority of your plate of your meals vegetables. Vegetables are great because they are high in volume, they are high in vitamins, high in minerals, they are low in sugar, low in fat. They pretty much have very, very, very few amounts. And they also have a lot of fiber and phytochemicals that really contribute to health. And they are also low in calories, so they contribute to weight loss. So we want to include vegetables, if possible, with every meal. That's the goal. You can choose one veggie or more per meal. And here we have the examples of the non-starchy vegetables. So things like asparagus, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, green beans, spinach, lettuce, broccoli, cucumber, mushrooms. The thing with the vegetables is that you can eat them however you enjoy them. So you can eat them cooked, raw, you can bake them, you can grill them, you can make a soup and add veggies. You can also, just add them to your different foods, make a salad, make a combination of them, and eat them with some of your favorite foods. And of course, choosing the vegetables that you like and adding herbs and spices to enhance the flavor, so that you don't have to eat just plain broccoli. You can add a little bit of garlic powder, onion. You can make like a little, mince some garlic, cut some onions, and then saute them in a pan, and then put your broccoli, your cauliflower there. Add some basil, cumin, paprika, oregano. So it's important to enjoy them and to eat them and prepare them in a way that enhances their flavor, just that you are more likely to eat them. So if you enjoy what you're eating, then it's more likely that you're going to do it for the long term, which is what we want. So the goal with the veggies is to eat one or more with every meal. And snack, you can also eat veggies for snacks. Like, for example, you can cut some cucumber, or have some baby carrots or some celery. You can have some bell peppers as a snack, and then you can dip them on hummus or guacamole, or just add a little bit of pepper and lemon. It's about finding creative ways to include these foods. So you can eat them with your meals, and then also as snacks as well. Then for the lean proteins, when we say lean proteins, we mean things like chicken breast, things that have very little fat. So it's going to be things like chicken breast, pork loin, white fish, tuna, low-fat Greek yogurt, egg whites, lean meats, lean ground meats that is going to be the 90 or 95%. It can be ground chicken, ground turkey, or ground beef, but look for the ones that are 90, 95%. And then also things like tofu, low-fat cottage cheese, all of these are lean proteins and are the ones that we want to include. And for the proteins, it's also important to have with every meal. In the morning, if you're eating, for example, cereal, there's very little protein there. Versus if you eat an egg omelette, there's going to be a lot of protein there. Plus, you can eat an egg omelette and add some veggies there. Plus, you cannot add many veggies to your cereal. I have never added any vegetables to my cereal, so it's better to go with the egg omelette, more enjoyable. So again, so it's trying to eat lean proteins with every meal. And again, if you're more of a sweet breakfast person, you can eat, for example, Greek yogurt with fruit and cinnamon. It's a great breakfast that has a lot of protein. And then you can also add a little bit of cereal as a topping rather than as the main ingredient in your Greek yogurt bowl. Okay, so then we have other foods that we can eat every day, but again, it doesn't have to be in every meal. So for example, things like beans, lentils, rice, potatoes, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, these also require moderation, because all of these can cause, well, not all of them, but most of them can cause a blood sugar spike. So when we eat them in large portions, then we're more likely to affect the heart, and then also increase our risk of diabetes, and then also increase our risk of overweight or obesity, because the more carbohydrates that we eat, the more insulin our body produces. And unfortunately, insulin, it's a hormone that causes our bodies to store fat. So that's why it is important to eat these in moderation. Of course, you can eat them every day, but small portions. And when I say small portions, I mean about half a cup per meal. So if you eat oatmeal, half a cup of oatmeal, and you may say, well, that's not too much, but that's why these should not be the main course. It should be the other things. Like, so for example, if you're having half a cup of oatmeal with a little bit of Greek, with a lot of Greek yogurt, and then maybe a fruit, that's a little bit more balanced, and you have a little bit of everything. And then the processed foods, again, like I said, there are no foods that are off limits. So there is room for processed foods, like, for example, bread or cheese or crackers or bacon, but make them part of your balanced meals, and don't have them every day and not with every meal. Like, it's okay, for example, to eat, like I was saying, make like a snack plate and have bell peppers, baby carrots, cucumber, a little bit of guacamole or hummus, and then a couple of crackers. And that's a balanced snack. But if you're hungry and you grab the crackers, then you're probably going to need 10 or 15 crackers to feel satisfied, versus if you have more things on your plate, then 3 or 4 crackers are enough. And yes, you're enjoying them, but making them part of a balanced snack or balanced meal. Okay, so how to put this into practice? So a very easy guide that you can use is the My Plate method, which is this one. So when you're thinking about what you're going to eat throughout the day or for the week, when you're planning your meals, try to make the vegetables the main course of your meals, and then make the other things only a side. So the chicken, the rice, the potatoes, the fish, the eggs, the avocado, like whatever other things that is not a vegetable should only be a side of your meal, to allow you to eat in moderation. Because many times we say portion control, but what's portion control? This is what we mean by portion control: having majority of your plate vegetables and then a little bit of the other things. And that kind of like helps you get the vitamins, the minerals, and the energy that you need, and also allows you to be satisfied. So it is recommended that you eat, and then that your next meal is about 3 or 4 hours after the previous one. So if you're eating in a way that you're not hungry for 8 hours, then that means that you're eating very large portions. Or if you eat a meal and then you're hungry again in 1 hour or 2 hours, then it means that it's probably not balanced, that you're missing the protein or the fiber, or the vegetables, because that's the thing. Vegetables have a lot of fiber, so they help us feel satisfied. But if you only eat vegetables, then also you're going to be hungry very quick. So that's why it's important to not only have the veggies, but have the other things with the vegetables. So it's everything about like moderation, balance, and having a little bit of everything on your plate. So to put this more into ideas and give you examples, this is how a healthy day of eating will look like. So for example, here for breakfast, we have an egg omelette with some mushrooms and bell peppers. Then we have spinach, tomatoes, then cucumber and some almonds. So this is a balanced breakfast because it has a little bit of everything there. It has the protein. It also has the carbohydrates from the veggies and the fruit. There's a little bit of, there's some blueberries there. And then we have a lunch here. For the lunch, we have the shredded chicken, then a little bit of pasta, which is down there. And then also broccoli, cauliflower, carrots. So that makes a balanced meal. We have protein, the carbohydrate, and then also the vegetables. And then for dinner here, we have the fish, and then we have broccoli, green beans, the cabbage, collard greens, and then a little bit of rice. And it's, again, very balanced. It doesn't have to be exactly like the plate, like half and 1/4 and 1/4. It can be all mixed together like here or like here. But again, trying to have a majority of your meals vegetables. Then for this snack, we have here like a frozen smoothie bowl where you can make it by mixing a little bit of Greek yogurt, almond milk, frozen cauliflower, and some fruits. And there you have vegetables, protein, and carbohydrates from the fruit. So a little bit of everything. Here's another example. Again, so for breakfast, we have some veggies, we have protein, and then we have the bread, which is the carbohydrate. Then for lunch, here we have broccoli, the oranges, and spinach for the fruits and veggies. And then we have a little some chicken and rice. So very balanced again. Same as this one that has some zucchini, spinach, and salmon. So it's also a balanced plate that makes the veggies the main course. And then for the snack here, we have a whole wheat bread with Greek yogurt and peanut butter. So again, very balanced. So that's how our days should look like. Not like a little bit of everything, but not too much of anything. Like, as you can see here, it's not just one thing on the plate, like not just pasta or not just soup or not just one like eggs or eggs, bacon, and sausage. So we have a little bit of everything, and that's what we want. Now let's start discussing a little bit about the food label. So food labels are a tool that you can use to compare different items that are similar at the grocery store and choose the better one. There's it's difficult and don't look for things that have everything perfectly. These are just recommendations, and again, it's for you to compare 2 or 3 different items and choose the one that has the better comparison to what the recommendation is. So when you're looking at the food label, the number one thing to look at is the serving size. So look at the serving size because this is the recommended portion. Like for example, here for this one is 2/3 of a cup. If you are going to have 1 cup, then that means that we need to multiply these numbers. If you're going to have half a cup, then it means that it's a little bit less than this. So it's paying attention to the serving size so you know exactly how much you're having, and keeping it in mind and trying to stick to that portion. Once you look at the serving size, the next step to take is to look at the calories. So for calories, it's difficult to estimate, and every person is different. So a dietitian can tell you exactly how many calories you can consume in a day. But in general, for snacks, we recommend between 100 and 200. And then for meals, we recommend about 400 to 600 calories. So it depends on what you're eating. But again, that's kind of like an estimate. So you can know if something is high or low in calories, depending on that comparison. 100 to 200 for snacks and 400 to 600 for meals. And then the next thing to look at for heart health is going to be the sodium. Sodium, it's a nutrient that is going to increase blood pressure. And high blood pressure can affect the heart. So we want to look for things that are low in sodium. And how do you know when something is low in sodium? Is when it has less than 5%. So this one has 7%, so it's a little bit high, but at the end of the day, 5%, it's a recommendation to know that something is low. And the lower, the better. Like all foods are going to have some sodium in them, so it adds up throughout the day. So keep in mind the overall goal of between 1,500 milligrams and 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day, and make that your total. That's 100% about the 200 milligrams, and then it adds up from the like the 5% and 7%, so it keeps adding up, and trying to look for things that are low in sodium, so 5% here. Then also looking for things that are high in fiber. Fiber is great for keeping the heart healthy, for lowering cholesterol. So the higher the fiber, the better. And we want to look for things that have at least 10% of the fiber. And then we also want to look at the added sugar. Added sugar, so sugar, just white sugar, is going to affect the heart health, because it increases inflammation. It increases the risk for atherosclerosis, for forming plaque, and then makes us higher risk for a stroke or a heart attack down the road. So we want to look for things that are lower in added sugars, again 5%. So something that is high or low, well, low it's going to be 5%, and high is going to be more than 10%. So for fiber, we want to do the more than 10%. For sodium and sugar, we want to go for less than 5%. Okay. And again, it doesn't have to be exactly 5%. Of course, we understand that it's throughout the day, but if you know, well, maybe I ate this that has 20% added sugar, then I only have 80% left for the rest of the day. Then maybe the next things that you're eating, it's important to keep them at 5% or a little bit lower. Or try not to add any sugar in other of your meals, because you're already taking some out from whatever you're consuming. And now let's put it into practice. I'm going to provide some examples here. So let's look at this label. Well, so we have the label here. The first thing that we will look at is the serving size. So here the serving size is 1 cup. So try to have 1 cup of this. It's a yogurt, so try to have 1 cup of the yogurt. Then for calories, 100. So like I said, for snacks, it's between 100 and 200. For meals, 400 to 600. So this is good for a snack. If you want to make it part of a meal, then combining it with other things. Then we look at the sodium, and again, low is less than 5%. So this one has 3%. So check, that's good. And then for fiber, we want to go for things that have 10% or more. So 11%, check, that's good. Then for added sugar, it has 0. So good. So this is a great option for a snack. And this is the yogurt the label comes from. So it's a Greek yogurt. It has fiber. It has it's low in sugar and low in sodium. So it's a great option. And again, like I said, the nutrition label is used to compare different items. So let's look at another example here, which is something similar. So first step, look at the serving size, 1 container. The calories are 150, so it's still within the recommendations for a snack. Then we look at the sodium. It has 17%, so it's not low because it's not less than 5%, so it's a little bit elevated on the sodium. Then we look at the added sugars. It has 14%, so again, higher than the 10%. And then the fiber, this one has 0%, so less than 10%. And this is the product. So it's a cottage cheese with some strawberry and chia seeds. So again, it may look healthy, but it's if you compare the labels, this one to this one, then we can see that between this label and this label, this product is a little bit better. And again, it's not about perfection, but it's about which one is better and choosing the one that it's better. And of course, if for whatever reason you want to choose this one, or you just like this one, then just being mindful about how much of the sodium and sugar you're consuming, so you can kind of balance it out with your other food choices. Now let's talk a little bit about physical activity. So physical activity is great, not just for the heart, but for overall health, for our bodies, for also bringing up our energy, boosting the immune system. So there are many, many benefits about being physically active. And the main thing with physical activity is to choose something that you enjoy. Because what we want with physical activity and also healthy eating is making it sustainable and making it a long-term, something not that you're just going to try for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, but something that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. So if you are currently not physically active, then just get started. Like there's recommendations for exercise, but you can get started with 5 minutes 2 times per day, and that's already 10 minutes. And as you build up your endurance and your stamina, then you can start to increase it a little bit more and more, like maybe 2 minutes every week or 3 minutes every week. And then maybe in a month, you're already doing 15 minutes and 15 minutes, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, and that's already 30 minutes. The general recommendation for exercise is to be active, physically active, for at least 150 minutes per week. And you can break it however you want. And it is important to include aerobic exercises, which includes things like walking, dancing, running, swimming, and then also with some resistance exercises, which include things like using dumbbells, using resistance bands, or just your body weight and doing things like squats, push-ups, just something that is going to get your muscles working. So a combination of the two. And here we have an example of how your week can look like when it comes to exercise. It doesn't have to be exactly the same every day, and you can vary and change up your activities. It doesn't have to be just one activity. If you just enjoy one thing, like for example, walking or jogging or swimming, you're absolutely fine to do it. But if you like variety, then keeping it interesting and throwing one different thing here and there can also make it more fun. So here's an example of a week of balanced exercise. So for example, on Monday, walking for 40 minutes, then on Tuesday, using resistance bands for 30 minutes, then on Wednesday, resting, then on Thursday, you can march in place for 35 minutes, then on Friday, you can dance for 20 minutes, on Saturday, you can do an exercise video, and then for 25 minutes, and then on Sunday, you can rest again. And that gives us about 180 minutes of varied physical activity. And again, if you want to do only one thing, that's absolutely fine. If you want to do 20 minutes early in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, that's also okay. So however you want to do it in a way that it's achievable, attainable, but then also that it's consistent, that you are doing it and you are, because sometimes patients say, oh yes, but I park my car farther away, so I walk or I use the stairs, and that's wonderful. That's added activity, but it's important to also time yourself and really account how many minutes you are doing so that you know how close or how far you are from the recommendation, so you can walk your way towards that goal. And if you are someone who has back pain or it's dealing with recovery, then try to do some chair exercises or arm exercises, or if you go to physical therapy, then repeating some of the exercises that you do at the physical therapy, repeating them at home also gets you moving and keeps you active. So there is no right or wrong way of doing exercise. It's just about staying active and getting your heart rate up. So it enhances the heart and makes it work harder for a couple of minutes. So it's a muscle, so we need to keep it active too. Okay, now let's talk about blood pressure. So blood pressure, for those who have hypertension, high blood pressure, it is important to check it regularly, just that you know and you're aware about that number. And then also the importance of checking it daily, it's that you're going to be able to identify the factors that are impacting your blood pressure. For example, if there's a day that you see a high blood pressure, think about what you did the day before or that same day. You can start to see, oh, maybe stress increases my blood pressure, or maybe when I don't sleep well, my blood pressure is high, or maybe when I don't drink enough water, or maybe when I eat things that are too salty, my blood pressure increases. So that way you can start to identify the factors and then start taking action to correct them and to help your blood pressure. Ideally, blood pressure, we want it to be less than 130/80, especially if you're in medication, because if you're in medication, then that means that the medication is already helping to bringing it down. Plus, then if you're eating healthy and exercising, those things are going to contribute to blood pressure control. Again, healthy eating, exercising, and avoiding processed foods is really going to help bring down the blood pressure, as well as eliminating smoking and avoiding or reducing alcohol. So it not only helps the heart, but it helps to lower the blood pressure. So they go together. And then watching the intake of sodium. Foods that are high in sodium are going to be things like deli meats, cheese, sausage, bacon, pizza, fried chicken, foods from restaurant, frozen meals, canned foods, all of these are going to be very high in salt. So I recommend that you check the label on those products. And again, try to make it balanced with everything else that you're eating. Then the cholesterol is another thing to watch. So if your doctor has tell you that your cholesterol is high, there are things that you can do to improve your cholesterol. Of course, take the medication if that's what the doctor prescribed. But if you're not taking medication, then trying to avoid the fried foods and processed foods, it's going to help bring down the cholesterol, including fiber, so high fiber foods. Foods that are high in fiber are things like legumes, like beans, lentils, chickpeas, then also whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat bread, and then also vegetables. Vegetables have a lot of fiber too. And then things like chia seeds and flax seeds also contain a lot of fiber. So trying to include those with your meals, with your salads, your smoothies, your yogurt, it's going to be very helpful too. Physical activity also helps lower cholesterol, and including healthy fats. And what are healthy fats? So it's going to be foods like sardines, salmon, avocado, then also the nuts and the seeds like chia seeds, nuts like almonds, pecans, peanuts. All of those are going to contain healthy fats. Again, the thing with healthy fat, it's still important to eat in moderation, just because even if it's healthy fat, it has calories and it can cause weight gain if we're eating too much of it. That's why when we say, okay, eat nuts, but try to watch your portion, that's why we say that, because if we eat very large amounts, then we're more likely to have to gain weight, and which can increase the cholesterol on its own and make it a little bit more stressful on the heart. If we gain weight, a larger body, then that means more work for the heart to take on all of those nutrients and the oxygen. The heart has to work harder, so that's why it gets damaged for the extra work. Another thing we already mentioned is to try, like if you smoke, just know that it's going to affect your heart and many other, pretty much every organ in your body. So it's important to quit and know that you're not alone. There are resources. You can call this number 1-800-QUIT-NOW. This is from the CDC, and they can help you work on quitting smoking, because it's very important for your health. And also, again, we know it's challenging, but you're not alone. There's resources that can help you. And the next one, it's going to be very important to stay hydrated. Water helps the body function more optimally. It allows the body to pump the blood. It makes the flow of your blood a little bit easier on the body, and allows the body to take all of those nutrients where they need to be. The recommendation for water for women is to drink about 5 to 6 water bottles per day, and for men 7 to 8 water bottles per day. And if you don't like plain water, then just know that you can flavor your water with, you can add lemon, you can add mint leaves, or you can add also like cut some fruits and add them to them. We call it infused water. So you can add orange slices, cucumber slices, pineapple slices. So it has a little bit of flavor, but not a lot of sugar, because juices unfortunately have a lot of sugar. So another thing that you can do is, for example, have a large glass of water and then add a splash of juice just to give it some flavor, but not a lot of sugar. And another great one is sparkling water, or you can also drink herbal teas. All of those count towards your water intake, and it's a way to add some flavor to your water without adding too many calories or sugar. And the last recommendation here to improve and help the heart is going to try to limit the amount of alcohol that you have. If you drink, just know, like for men, the recommendation is to have 2 drinks per day, and for women to have 1 drink per day. But these are not, you cannot save them and say like, okay, I didn't drink anything from Monday through Friday, then on Saturday I'm going to have my 8 drinks, because that, like, the number resets every day. So if you didn't drink anything Monday through Friday, then on Saturday the top is again 2 for men and 1 for women. So try to spread it out throughout the week, or choose however you want to drink it, but do it in moderation, because it's going to affect your heart, your health. And then also when we drink, then we're more likely to nibble and eat foods with the alcohol, and we're less likely to be mindful, because our we you know how the effect of alcohol, right? The booze, how it makes us feel. So it can also affect your food choices. So it's important to keep it to a minimum. Okay. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. We got this information from the experts on the heart, like the American Heart Association, the CDC, the FDA. You can also look at these pages and find extra resources, or you can also work with our dietitians to help you work towards your own personal individual goals and help you develop a plan that is going to be manageable, and it's going to be something that helps you live a healthier and longer life. So thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar. We may have some questions from the public, so let's see. Mario, are there any questions?
Thank you, Abigail. Yes, we do have some questions. Let me start first with, do you recommend any fiber supplements?
There are some fiber supplements that are okay. Like I think many of you know about Metamucil, so that's one that you can use. But there's nothing better. Like there's no supplement that is going to have all of the nutrients and the health benefits that comes from foods that are high in fiber. Like I said, things like the legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, avocado, chia seeds, flax seeds, whole grains, like brown rice, quinoa are going to have a lot of fiber. So I recommend including those in your food choices. And of course, if you want to add a supplement, that's okay. The recommendation for fiber per day, it's about 25 to 38 grams per day. And you can easily get that with your foods, the vegetables, the legumes, the whole grains, and the seeds like chia seeds, flax seeds will give you that fiber.
Next question is a low carb or no carb diet healthy for you?
I'm going to say it depends. There's no right or wrong. Like there's like if that's something at the end of the day, if it's something that you can do for the rest of your life, then it's healthy, right? If it's going and if it's giving you energy and if it's keeping your levels under control, but it's not necessary. Our bodies need energy, and that energy comes from carbohydrates. So a moderate carbohydrate intake, it's absolutely fine. Our bodies have the ability to process carbohydrates, but the problem is that they get saturated, and we eat too many carbohydrates, then is when the body stops processing. Like let's say that the body has a threshold, and when you go above that threshold, then it turns that extra carbohydrate into fat, so extra weight, and then it starts to bring up all of those health problems like hypertension, high cholesterol, because the body is saturated. So it can be healthy. Of course, there are ways to make a low carb or no carb diet healthy, but it's important to include vegetables. If that diet includes vegetables as the base, then it's healthy, right? So every single diet, whatever you decide, low carb or medium carb or paleo, whatever diet, just make the veggies the base of your meals. And then, of course, add all of those other things because of the nutrients that they have or in your body needs.
Is it better to consume sugar substitutes like stevia?
Stevia is a natural sweetener. So if you are someone who has a sweet tooth, it's absolutely fine to include those. Again, there are no foods that are off limits. And if you're asking if it's better to have stevia than sugar, I'm going to say yes, because stevia is not going to have any calories. It's natural, comes from a plant. And yeah, it gives you that sweet flavor, but without any added calories, and also can contribute to helping the sweet tooth be addressed in a healthier way. Yes.
I drink a lot of coffee. Does this count as water intake for the day?
Great question. Well, the thing with coffee is that it's a diuretic, so it makes us go to the bathroom. So I'm going to say that yes, coffee has some water, but because of the diuretic effect, then we're going to go more to the bathroom, so it kind of negates the effect. So I'm going to say don't count it towards water, just because you're going to be going to the bathroom more when you drink coffee. So it's going, like, the whatever fluid you had in the coffee, it's going to be out of your system. So I'm going to say, yes, you can have coffee, but don't count the ounces of coffee towards water.
Next question. Are there any foods that could help improve memory?
No, that's a great question. I'm going to say yes. Whole foods, fruits, vegetables have a lot of nutrients, phytochemicals, and they can really help just in with the with memory and in general. So things like blueberries, things that have an antioxidants, which are pretty much all of the fruits and the vegetables, but some that are very high in antioxidants are the berries, so blueberries, raspberries, then also chia seeds, then also spinach. So, and the thing, what helps with memory is trying to avoid the blood sugar spikes. So avoiding things like sugar and very large amounts of carbohydrate keeps your blood sugar stable, and that helps the memory too. So those things are very important. Trying to focus on whole foods, fruits and vegetables, and then preventing the blood sugar spikes to help your memory.
Next question. Should I be taking vitamin supplements?
Great question too. So you shouldn't be unless the doctor told you that you have a deficiency of something. Like if you have a vitamin D deficiency, yes. If you have a B12 deficiency, yes. But they are not necessary. If you're eating a healthy, balanced diet, if you are eating vegetables, fruits, legumes, lean proteins every day, then you're getting the vitamins and minerals that your body needs from them. But if there's something that you were told specifically that you're deficient in, I'm going to say yes, a supplement can help meet up that deficiency. But then also taking a lot of supplements plus eating like the vitamins and minerals that you have in your body, then that can also cause toxicity. So I'm going to say, a lot of people say, oh, I'm taking the vitamins and minerals because I want to be healthy. And it can do the opposite because it can saturate your body too.
Okay, I think this is our last question, but for some of these that are left unanswered, we'll get back to you individually. A friend of mine had told me that it is beneficial to have more frequent, smaller meals throughout the day. Is that true?
That is a great question, and I'm going to say it's not true or not. It's not true or false. It depends, right? If eating that way allows you to control your portions better, then yes. Okay. So every time that you eat, there's going to be there's going to be a blood sugar, like, well, the insulin, the body is going to release insulin. So for someone who has diabetes, eating very frequently can spike the blood sugar. But if you are trying to, if that helps you, like if you eat 5 times per day, helps you control the portions, then that's absolutely fine. So at the end of the day, we want to eat in a way that prevents extreme hunger, like that you're not starving by the time that you get to your next meal, but then also that you are not just eating because, like I'm going to say, listen to your body. And if you're kind of hungry, like if you say, well, my stomach is grumbling, it's been 2 or 3 hours since my previous meal, I'm not going to have dinner until like 2 hours later, then yes, have a snack, eat something. So I'm going to say it depends. At the end of the day, the best way to eat is listening to your body and eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're satisfied, not when you're stuffed, and not to stop when you're stuffed and not start eating when you're starving. So kind of like staying in the middle. That may be 3 times per day one day, and the next day 4 times, and then the other day 3 times, and then the other day 5 times. So there's really no right or wrong.
Abigail, thank you very much. It was a very informative program, and I'd like to thank everyone who attended for taking the time. I really think it says a lot about everyone individually that you're willing to invest time to learn how to live a healthier life. And again, I want to invite you to take advantage of all of the resources that we have available, the support groups that I mentioned for healthy eating habits, our diabetes sugar busters groups. And again, everyone here is eligible if you'd like to spend some one-on-one time with one of our registered dietitians. Now, at the end of this program, you're going to see a pop-up for a very quick 1 to 2 minute survey. I would greatly appreciate it if you could take the time to complete that survey. It helps us with a lot of valuable feedback for future programs that we're developing. So thank you again. This concludes our webinar, and wishing you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you.